Hi, this is on Imagination. We are going to talk about the intuitive state. I believe that's what it's called. Let me just take a quick look over here. I was just writing it out and I went, oh my God, that's awesome. I need to yes, the intuitive state. So the intuitive state, this is something that I'm writing out this article. I love doing mixed media where it's an article and then in the middle of the article, there's this web video and then the article continues. So this is where I want to step aside and just talk about the intuitive state. The intuitive state is the invalidated state of intuition where you know something is bullshit. And I'm here to tell you it's true. It's absolutely true. The intuitive state is physics. It's absolutely physics. So the way physics works is this. And I want to clarify, this is such a scientific thing that logicians and mathematicians and physicists actually use it in their scientific method. That's how valid this is. So when your intuition is spot on, just so you know, in logic, we call it intuitive logic. And in math, we call it mathematical intuition. That is how valid this is. And here is the physics behind it. The universe, Mother Nature, runs off of logic, math, and physics. And we know this because it is a constant, which is one of the laws of mathematics. If something is unchanging and is a constant, it's true. There is nothing more true than logic, math, and physics. Now, when you are doing anything with science, logic, math, physics, there are three components in logic that are vital. And this really, really needs to be understood. Now, people who don't know or understand logic are going to contradict this because they do not know about logic. So I'm going to give you three tools that are required. If you have a logical fallacy, if you have any kind of a logical proof that does not match up, there are only three possible errors. The first one is you have a false premise. The second one is you have false calculation or false logic. And the third is human error. There's no thing else. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. This is math and this is logic in its purest, truest form. So anyone, thank you, Daniel. Anyone who comes to you and says logic doesn't work or math doesn't work or physics doesn't work knows nothing about logic, math, and physics because it has been proven that every time it doesn't work, human error is the problem, which means the person, not the logic, is the problem. When math, logic, or physics is used properly with the proper checks and balances, it checks out 100% of the time. It is a constant. This is material that has not changed in 3,000 plus years because it's a constant, because it's true. Everybody in the math world knows this. Now, when I say physics, I am referring very specifically to classic physics, not quantum physics. Quantum physics is new, and quantum physicists will tell you this is its own creature, and it is excluded from this. We're going to set that over there. So when you go back to intuition, what intuition really is the purity of logic, math, and physics. This stuff is so pure that by the time we are 2 years old, our bodies have absorbed it into us, internalized it. We actually have internalized logic, math, and physics inside of us. This is why you have a circadian rhythm. This is why. It's because you have internalized, by the time you are 2 years old, math. It is that deeply embedded into us. When you have a good feeling or a bad feeling, what is really going on is you have a logical core that is being matched and compared in relativity to Mother Nature's logic, math, and physics. And if it doesn't match to Mother Nature's logic, math, and physics, it doesn't feel good. If it does match, it's right. It's true. That's why we say in mathematics, is the statement true? Is the equation true? The word true in mathematics and in logic means, do they match? Do you have a balanced scale of equilibrium? This is truth. Everybody in math, physics, and logic knows this. That's why we have ratio. That's why we have the equal sign. Does this equal to this side? Because are they balanced on a scale? This is called the equilibrium. The equilibrium is with a capital E, and it is the mother lode of law. It is the thing that we all instinctively bow down to. Oh yeah, you want to talk about hierarchy? You want to talk about the archetype? It's the equilibrium. The equilibrium is governed by karma. And here's how it works. Mother Nature has this gorgeous ballet that's happening all the way around us, through us, in us. We're part of it, and it's out. It is so vast and so big, and it is 100% dependent upon the equilibrium. The equilibrium determines the rotation of the planet, the distance between the sun and the earth, how the moon moves around us, the astronomical ballet that is space, all of it. This is the equilibrium. Everything in the world caters to and adheres to and obeys the laws of the equilibrium. This is where Newton's laws step in with, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, because there is the equilibrium. And if you fuck with it, karma goes, nope, 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 we got to balance that, because we got a dance happening here. The only people in the entire world who think that they are exempt from this ballet is the human being. I don't know why, but really we're not. We are part of it. And once you understand that you are part of the equilibrium, and you start to go, wow, we actually have physics inside of us, we should probably get on board with this physics dance, your life is going to be fine. Your life is fine. All of mental illness, according to Pythagorean psychology, is caused by the violation of Mother Nature's equilibrium. You fuck with that, and she sets you right. And if you don't obey Mother Nature, she gives you a mental illness to make sure you do. So when you realize, oh, there's laws of physics that apply to me, and when you start using your mental energy, it's called emotional energy. When you start following the laws of physics for your emotional energy, it corrects the imbalance and you feel fantastic. The out of phase signals go away. They turn to in phase signals. You find your frequency and your alignment. Everything is restored and balanced, and there is harmony. And we call that harmonic consonance. It becomes a constant because it is now in relativity to and matched to Mother Nature. So is the way of the universe. Now, intuition is when you have integrated logic, math, and physics so deeply into you that your intuition is going, here's the math, and is it checking out? Where are you in relativity to the universe? Now, the more you study logic, math, and physics, the more sharpened your intuition becomes. It becomes so sharpened that logicians call it logical intuition, and mathematicians call it mathematical intuition, because they have sharpened it so succinctly that when they feel something intuitively, it's mathematically correct and balanced to the universe. That all being said, a lie is actually an illogic. That's all it is. Truth is logic and the logical balance that is in relativity to the universe's logic, math, physics. A lie is a logical fallacy. And that is it. That is it. That's it. A lie is just a contradiction of the logic. Now, you contradict the logic and you are pulling at that equilibrium. You are pulling at the karma, and the karma is going to kick you in the ass. That is going to stretch much exactly like an elasticity. There's elasticity here. And when you tell a lie, when you make up a lie, even if it's just a false logic that you picked up from somebody else, even if it's without intent or without awareness, if you speak a falsehood, it's going to contradict the logic, and eventually it's going to draw out like elasticity until it breaks and falls apart, and then the truth rises up. Truth always comes back because truth is logic, which is aligned to that universe in her equilibrium. This is physics. So when you lie, what you are really doing is violating the laws of physics, and she's going to come for your ass. Don't lie. That all being said, there's a whole lot of bullshit happening in the world. And there are people who are very, very tuned into their intuitive logic. And they're at a point where their intuition, this is why they say, trust your gut. They feel their intuition and they just know it. The state of intuitiveness is when you can't yet explain something, but you feel it. When you study scientific method and the way physics works, everything begins with intuition, which is the feeling of math, logic, physics. And then it produces an image. This is stage 2. Stage 2 is when you can see the image. You can't describe what you see, but you can see it. You can just feel it and you just know it, and then you can see the image. As the image begins to take shape, we seek out words to sculpt the image in our minds. This is where words come from. We use words to sculpt the image. We actually define the image first, and then we summarize and condense. This is reverse engineering, by the way. We condense that definition into a single sentence and then a single 2 words, and then we get it down to a word. When we do that, we have the name, and now we have the birth of a word. Every word is birthed from the image, from a feeling. And when that creation of the word is made, it actually embeds a piece of that energy. This is physics. This is exactly how you transfer emotional energy into kinetic energy with creation. This is why art has energy in it. Is because when you create something, you are transferring the energy from point A to point B via kinetic energy. So when you have that feeling and then you see the image and then you sculpt it out with word definition, and then you get it down to a single word, you invent the word to describe the definition and the image and the feeling, you have embedded a piece of that energy right into the word. Every word is born of its own energy. It's extraordinary. Once that happens, boom, you have logic. Now you can start forming a logical argument. As soon as you have the if-then clauses of the logical proof, the math shows up. After the math shows up, this is scientific method, people. After the math shows up, the physics shows up. After the physics shows up, if chemistry is involved, the chemistry will show up. And if biology is involved, then the biology will show up. After the biology shows up, then you translate it to, this is where you translate it to explain the logic, the math, the physics, the chemistry, and the biology. And then you put it down into an order of operations from point A to point B of the chain reaction, and this is why. And you have the mathematical proof, the logic, and the physics to back it all up with the chemistry and the biology if it applies. So when you get down to this point, now you're looking at the translation stage. When you translate everything, you move it and you form it into a dissertation. This is where you see abstracts drawn up. This is where you see the papers and the thesis drawn up. Now, at that point, that's when you begin clinical trials, and that's where your information is proven. If you've gone through the checks and balances, it should come out 100% of the time. The data is proven. If your intuition interpreted it properly. This is a skill, being able to interpret your intuition effectively from the intuitive state over into mathematics. This is my forte. This is what I do. When you know how to translate intuitive state over into logic, math, and physics, you are right 100% of the time. It is an advanced science skill. It's also an advanced communication skill, translation. You have to be a linguist and a logician, mathematician, and a physicist to pull this shit off. This is ontology, which is a branch of physics, metaphysics with philosophy. So now we are in the state where we are translating it. Now, after you get that peer review and you get the clinical trials and the studies and all that jazz, then you start translating it into simple. This is where you break it down for different age groups. This is where you start translating it into an academic discipline. This is where academia comes from, is you've now taken it and the proof is there, and then you mold it into academic discipline. Once you get academic discipline, then you can start molding it into story. This is where Bill Nye the Science Guy is. This is his area. This is where he's been all the way through the process, and now he's translating it into fun, engaging stories because he knows, because he's a philosopher, he is a philosopher, because he knows this shit, that people are engaged through story, entertainment, and fun shit like Bill Nye the Science Guy. So when you understand that and you've translated it, the further you break it down into that story, that's where we learn. This is where you're approaching something that I like to call Plato's point. Plato's point is the point of perfection, where the information is so refined and beautifully summarized that you can succinctly transfer the information at that Plato's point to the next person. That is the point where teaching occurs. Really, really amazing shit. So when you are sensing something and you're at a point where you can't yet describe it, that's because you are in the very early stages of scientific method. Follow your intuition. Practice your intuition. Don't betray it. It is fucking solid. And the more you understand that it's logic, math, physics, and it's balanced, the more you learn logic, math, physics, the sharper your intuition is going to get. And once you start working on translation and communication skills, word, logic, theater, stage, holy shit, that's really going to hone your intuition, because intuition is sculpted with that definition, and now you're getting into logic, theater, stage. It is absolutely beautiful. So this is the intuitive state. It is literally stage 1 of scientific method that allows you to deliver an idea, a feeling, into an idea, into the science, and into story. Thank you so much, and may the kindest of words always find you.